Hey folks, welcome to another episode of Cutter One. I am your host, Jay, your resident troublemaker and your resident culture warrior. I hope you are all doing well on this Thursday. One more day until the weekend, folks. Just one more day. All right, so let's get right into it because I saw this one earlier today. And, well, quite honestly, it makes my head hurt. Okay? My head hurts with... Well, you'll see. All right, let's get right into it. This is coming to us from CBR.com, and it is from Janet White, and it is Rings of Power, quote-unquote, killed off a major character for its weirdest romance. Galadriel, or Guy Ladriel, and Hal Bland's romantic energy played a big role in the Rings of Power, which is likely why a Lord of the Rings character was excluded from Season 1. Unlike Peter Jackson's beloved The Lord of the Rings trilogy, Prime Video's The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power became controversial right from its very announcement. Even with its first season over, a big question still remains. What's the deal with Guy Ladriel's husband? Despite Celeborn appearing in J.R.R. Tolkien's The Silmarillion and The Lord of the Rings, Galadriel confirmed he was, quote, lost in the war against Morgoth in the Rings of Power. Given Celeborn played a crucial role in later stories, it seems like a strange creative decision. However, it's likely Celeborn's missing in action status was only a means to further the Rings of Pewter's weirdest romance. Guy Ladriel's relationship with Hal Bland, revealed to be Sauron in the Rings of Pewter's Season 1 finale, was bizarre, to say the least. The two displayed some mild sexual tension throughout the season, causing some Lord of the Rings fans to ship the powerful elf and Dark Lord. While anything goes in the world of fan fiction, a Sauron-Galadriel romance is something Tolkien would never agree with for multiple reasons, which is likely why Celeborn had to go. Right from Guy Ladriel and Hal Bland's first interaction, there was obvious chemistry between the two, from intense eye contact and fleeting touches to angsty arguments and saving each other. Guy Ladriel and Hal Bland went on to embody some serious will they, won't they energy. And if there were any doubts about the romantic angle the Rings of Pewter leaned into, Season 1 culminated with Hal Bland asking Guy Ladriel to be his queen. That's right, he was going to put a ring on it. All right, I'm sorry, that was fucking bad. I'm sorry. All right, anyway. As for whether Hal Bland actually loved or romantically desired Guy Ladriel is to be determined. Sauron is an expert manipulator and likely sees Guy Ladriel and her power as an asset, in line with the old adage, keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer. He'd rather have her on his side than against him. This was how Hal Bland, Sauron actor Charlie Vickers, played the part, saying he believed the proposition to become his queen came, quote, from a place of selfishness, unquote. Regardless, Guy Ladriel denied the proposal. However, her answer did not come without hesitancy, which was exactly why Celeborn needed to be out of the picture. Celeborn might not be dead, but it was important that Guy Ladriel suspected he could be. This left Guy Ladriel free to even entertain the idea of a relationship, whatever that might look like, with Sauron. With Tolkien's Catholic morals playing a major role in the Lord of the Rings universe, it was the only way a teased Guy Ladriel-Sauron romance could have worked at all. Tolkien's lore makes a Guy Ladriel and Sauron romance out of the question. In Tolkien's source material, elves not only marry for love, but for life. Much like Catholicism, monogamy was a rule, adultery was a major no-no, and premarital sex went against their nature. In fact, elves were forbidden from remarrying even after a spouse's death, with Finwë being a notable exception. Thus, even with Celeborn dead or lost in the Rings of Power, another relationship, even one apart from Sauron, would be frowned upon. Not to mention, elves were resistant to lust and the, quote, desires of the body, unlike men. With that in mind, Guy Ladriel and Sauron's longing gazes were a big stretch, at least in the context of romance. Still, the Rings of Pewter's proposal scene wasn't completely out of left field. Sauron seemed to generally feel a connection to her, and part of that came from sensing the darkness inside Guy Ladriel. In that regard, his offer was really a seduction to the dark side. It marked an important character building moment for Guy Ladriel to shoot down Sauron's tempting promise to bind her to power, unquote. With Celeborn in the picture, the impact of this moment would never have been fully realized. The Rings of Pewter's changes, although vast, allowed Guy Ladriel to reject Sauron's inability, or perhaps reluctance, to acknowledge the difference between ruling and saving. Overall, it was a lot more climactic than her brushing him off by saying, quote, "Oh, I'm married, sorry." And this was from Janet White. All right. So much to unpack there. Okay. First of all, Janet, darling, sweetheart, you writer who is apparently into horror, who is a horror fanatic and video game enthusiast from Boston, and a self-proclaimed nerd. There's so much to unpack with what you said that is complete and utter bullshit. I don't even know where to start. Okay, let's start from the beginning. Okay, your argument is that they removed Celeborn because it gives more agency and more impact for Guy Ladriel to refuse Sauron, right? Because of her inner nature, her goodness, or whatever, or her seeing that he cannot differentiate between wanting to rule Middle Earth versus wanting to save it, right? And that had Celeborn still been in the picture, she would have been able to rebuke or refuse his advances by simply saying, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm married." Okay? And then your argument is that, well, they had to get rid of Celeborn because it's more climatic to have her refuse it out of her own, the good nature of her, and Sauron's inherent evil nature, that it's more impactful that she refuse it based on that rather than being based on the fact that she already has a husband. Which says volumes about you, right? As the author, okay? And I know some people are going to be like, whoa, he's going right after the author. Yes, because the thing is that her brushing Sauron off because she's married is equally as impactful, okay? Because it would show that concepts of loyalty, faithfulness, okay, honor, okay, doing the right thing, not succumbing to immediate gratification or lust, right, or the temptation of power, right, that all those can be checked, if you will, held in check by love and loyalty and honor and faithfulness, okay? So I would dare say that her brushing off Halbrand because she's married is equally, if not more, impactful than her brushing him off because of her inherent good nature and his inability to differentiate ruling from saving, right? Okay, so there's that. Secondly, though, we need to also touch on the fact that this never should have been a thing to begin with. Okay, the fact that we're even discussing that season one sort of toyed with the idea of this sort of, will they, won't they, between Sauron and Guy Ladriel. Okay, just the concept alone is asinine on a meteoric galactic level. Okay. Tolkien is very specific in what he wrote. Galadriel understood the mind of Sauron from the get-go. That is why he considered her his biggest threat. because she could tell what he was thinking. And she even says it. She can see his mind, right? And when she says see his mind, she's not talking about in like sort of telekinesis, sort of like I can read his mind, right? But she understands, okay, his thought process, right? The same way, to a lesser extent, that Gandalf also does, okay? And that's why Gandalf chose, to go with the hobbits to bring the ring to Mount Doom and destroy it, as opposed to, like everybody says, why not just fly there with the eagles and stuff like that? Because they knew Sauron would expect that, right? The whole point is that Sauron was expecting the men and the elves and the dwarves to sort of resist him, okay? And he was he was assuming that was going to be their tactic. What he didn't assume was the smallest among those peoples, i.e. the hobbits, would be the ones that were his biggest threat. His biggest threat were the smallest ones, the smallest people, and the ones he considered the least threatening, okay? And so Gandalf could sort of see his mind to a certain degree, and Galadriel definitely could. From the very first time she was in his presence, she could. And he knew this, okay? So the fact that you're even having this situation where will they, won't they is even on the table is completely the antithesis of anything Tolkien was trying to imply. Okay, it goes against every fundamental core thing that Tolkien wrote regarding Galadriel, Sauron, and that whole situation, right? So we never even should have been having this discussion, number one. Number two, Celeborn is in fact around, according to Tolkien's writings, is not only around, but is a big player along with Galadriel for the Second Age, right? And their daughter, okay? Remember, we're not just talking, everyone's just talking like, oh, well, it's just the guy who's gone. As of right now, where's her daughter? So apparently Galadriel's been spending hundreds of years hunting Sauron, and if she doesn't have a daughter, i.e. Celeborn's gone before they had a child, right? Which, according to where they are in the story of the show, should not be the case at this point. She should have not only her husband, but also her daughter at this point in the story, based on where the Amazon show is, right? But having said that, not only is her husband gone, but they've also gotten rid of her daughter. So either she's running around for hundreds of years, so caught up in her hatred and need for revenge and vengeance against Sauron that she's literally abandoned her own daughter, or her daughter doesn't exist. Okay? So it's more than just having her husband not be in the picture. Okay? So let's say, so again, this should not even be something that's up for discussion. This should not even be something that was ever even committed to the script. Okay, and I firmly hold the quote-unquote Tolkien experts, Tolkien scholars, that Maria, Maldonado, or whatever the hell her name is, okay, this falls squarely on her shoulders, because she should have been the one saying no. And I guarantee you this is why Shippy was let go from this show, because he was telling them, no, you can't do that, okay? And they were just like, fuck you, you're fired. Okay, so this is on Maria Maldonado and Pain and Decay, okay, for this utter and complete bullshit, okay? And the fact that you're trying to justify it, Janet White of CBR.com, is equally bullshit, okay? And I will say it, you are talking bullshit, okay? Celeborn should have been there. Celebrian should have been there, okay? Galadriel even having, will they, won't they vibes with Halbrand or Sauron should not even be something to be considered. Okay, even using your own arguments that, yes, elves marry for life, and even if one of them passes away, the other one doesn't move on and find somebody else. There's a reason for that. There is a reason for that. And that is because the elves know that they will see their spouse, their loved one, again. They know this for a fact. Okay, their spouse or loved one will go spend however amount of time is deemed necessary in the halls of Mandos and will eventually come back. Okay? And since the elves are all but immortal, okay, they can wait, so they know they're going to see their loved one again. Hence, they don't move on to somebody else and replace them, because they know that, yes, my husband may have died in, the battle of unnumbered tears, but I'm going to see him again. It's a given. It is a fact. Okay? And that is why they don't do that. So even following your logic, even if the show is saying that Celeborn died in the war against Morgoth, Galadriel knows she will see him again. So she's still not going to make googly eyes with Halbrand. So again, it doesn't make any sense. And the simple fact that we're even discussing this is insulting as a Tolkien fan. I'm sorry. I don't often get borderline personal with some of this, but this is complete and utter bullshit. Like, really. I'm sorry, Janet White of CBR.com. You just are completely delusional in your making your case that this is in any way, shape, or form should be accepted by anybody who considers himself a Tolkien fan. This literally goes against everything Tolkien wrote, okay, on every possible level. And the fact that you consider, oh, I'm sorry, I'm married, to be the, like, bland, lame, sort of not cool thing to have to say to a cute guy giving you googly eyes, that says more about you than anything else. I'm sorry. I'll call it the way I see it. Sue me, right? Get me canceled. I don't give a shit. This is ridiculous. Like, this entire article is ridiculous, but whatever. I've spent 17 minutes on it, and I'm not going to give it any more. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments section below. Do you think Janet White from CBR.com has a point that, they needed to get rid of Celeborn so that they could have the season-long will they, won't they between Guy Ladriel and Halbrand, right? Do you think that that's even a thing that should ever have existed, or just does the concept, just the simple fact that we're having to discuss this annoy you as much as it annoys me? Let me know down in the comments section below. I'd love to get your opinion from real fans who understand what the hell they're talking about, as opposed to these, shill fake, journalists, talking about this, because this is just stupidity of an unprecedented level. Anyway, let me know what you guys think down in the comments section below. If you like the video, then like the video. If you feel like sharing the video, by all means do so. It helps us with the algorithm. It helps us get seen, and it helps us spread the word. If you have not subscribed to the channel yet, I would hope that you would consider subscribing to the channel and joining the army of beautiful badasses. We are a bunch of beautiful badasses. And we don't make googly eyes with Halbrand. And if you are a returning subscriber and returning to watch the video, as always, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Your support and your viewership means the world to me, as we try and grow this channel and expand it and do more to defend the good Professor Tolkien and his works from nonsense like we just got done discussing. Also, don't forget to go check us out on the Discord. We have a Discord channel. Conversations popping up over there. So go over and join that. I will put a link down in the description below. Also, we have some merch. So if you feel like supporting the channel by checking out some of the merch, by all means do so. I'm trying to keep it up to date and keep it with cool things related to what we talk about here on the show. So, check it out. No obligation, but definitely something worth checking out. All right, folks, that's gonna do it for this one. Yeah, okay, now my head hurts. Anyway, you guys have a good one. I will see you in the next video. Remember, as always, be good, be safe, be awesome, but more importantly, stay more dorkish. Peace.